Hi there. Welcome back to another little episode of MacGyver's Workshop here, and we're back to house building. Yay! After the holidays and working on cars and fixing cars and all that, it's good to be back to working on the house here, because I'm sure ready to get this thing done and over with. But we still got a long way to go, but it's interesting. Be an interesting journey. So I want to show you some of the things that we've gotten done thus far, and take you along as I show you everything. So one other thing I had to do is wire up a hallway light. I was going to have one, we're going to have a little table down there at the end with some, little lamps on it and everything, but you really want a switchable light for your hallway with a switch on each end where you can control it. So we have the one where I got a switch here where I can control the light, and one down here where we can control it. Now the thing is, it takes a special switch and one extra conductor. So you have a switch with basically 3 wires and a ground going to it instead of 2 wires and a ground. And what that basically does is that lets you turn the light on and off from either end of the hallway. So that way you're not stumbling through the dark. That was one thing we did. And yeah, one of the other things that we were doing was we had to catch up on some of the other wiring. I had to finish up the wiring for the light in the bedroom. Had to get that done. That was fun. And then we did our circuits for the porch light. We're going to do kind of an almost British-esque kind of thing, where instead of, if you look at the trailer here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but you see how they have the porch light to the right of the door about 3/4 of the way up. We're going to do ours kind of old-timey, and especially since we got the double French door, and we're going to have it hanging over the top of the middle of the door. And in my mind, that's going to serve a couple of things. One, it's going to look really cool. It's definitely different. Reminds me of when I was in the UK back in the military. The lights would always be hanging up over the top middle of the door. And the other interesting bit about that is the bugs in the summertime. So when you have it right there by your door, you got all these bugs and moths congregating around the door, and half of them get in the house when you open the door. This way, if it's up above the door, then that's where all your bugs will be, and you'll have less that sneak in the door with you. So that's my plan anyway. We'll see how that goes. And then we also have the dining room light. We had to build that out and wire that in. So we kind of had a busy day today. And then for giggles, I went ahead and I had to finish wiring in those 2 pendant lights. And then for giggles, I hooked one of them up just to see what it's going to look like. And got those really cool looking old-timey Edison bulbs, but they're LEDs. They're not filament bulbs. So you get that. Really have a really cool ambiance, lighting for the kitchen area. So it's supposedly like the equivalent of a 25-watt bulb, but that's cool. So now I'm on track to get my wiring in the kitchen island here, and in order to do that, I have to build my little wall thing around the island, and then the electrical wiring will run through that 3-sided wall. And then all the cabinets, okay, will sit inside that little three-sided wall thing, and then your, you know, top goes over it, and it'll extend over the back to make kind of like a little faux, you know, almost breakfasty bar kind of thing. But anyway, so the first step is since these are three separate cabinets, we have a, I have to back away here a bit, we have a 5-foot base cabinet right there, okay, for the, you know, that's where the sink will go. That's why it has the big opening to where it'll hold a sink. And then I have the two other base cabinets on each side to give me a nice long island to work with. But the trick is you have to attach them all together and basically make them into one solid unit. So in order to do that, just rip me some strips down of 7/16 OSB, which happens to fit in between here perfectly, okay, and allows me to line up my, you know, line up the front of the cabinets. So when we go to finish, you know, do the paint and everything on the front, everything will look really nice and won't have any weird gaps or anything. And then clamped it together with my cabinet clamps, and then screwed them together, you know, all the way up and down through there. I did that on the front and the back of the cabinets there, and then here for this other end cabinet, and that makes the whole thing one big solid contiguous unit. Now we can we'll build in our wall, and then further attach the cabinet assemblies to that wall, so we have a nice, you know, everything's nice and sturdy. So stay tuned. Okay, now an hour or so later, we've got I got the framework built up around the cabinets and got them all nice and solid and sturdy. Let's have a look. Okay, so basically what we've got is a little wall built around the dimensions of the cabinets. And of course it's secured very well to the floor, and everything is rock solid. And plus we'll have a really nice base for our countertop to go down onto. So it's going to be, what is that stuff? Quartz, I think, is what we're going to use. And you know, these cabinets themselves, while they have real pretty oak fronts on them, you know, they're really not built to the greatest standards in the world, but I did get them for a bargain, and the fronts are very high quality, and you know, they'll be more than workable, bang for the buck kind of thing. And but with this wall built around it, then everything will be rock solid and sturdy. Plus I'll bring my electrical up through, and we'll have an outlet there on this end, and then a couple along here, and then another one on this end. So if we're ever doing anything out here with you know, a toaster or a KitchenAid mixer or something like that, you know, we'll always have a good place to where we can set it and plug it in. So, and of course the back wall here I did in 2x6, so because we don't want to run all our plumbing up into the cabinet. See, that's basically a false bottom in that cabinet, and it's just a royal pain if you ever have to change a cabinet out, which I have in the past. So what we'll do is we'll have an access panel right here, and then all the, you know, the plumbing, the drain, and the hot and cold will come up in there, and then they'll go out through the back of the cabinet. So if we ever have to take the cabinets out and replace them, It's just a matter of unhooking the plumbing, shutting the water off, and sliding the cabinet straight out that way. So that's, and if we do like some beadboard, maybe, I know we were thinking originally of drywall, but we do beadboard, then I can make it nice with a access panel there, and it'll, you know, it won't look bad. Plus half of it'll be hidden anyway, because the countertop will extend out probably about a foot to make kind of like a little mini, you know, breakfast bar kind of deal. So nobody's going to be seeing that down there anyway. But anyhow, so that's the progress I've made today. It's been a long one, so I'm going to call it a night here. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned as we make more progress. And actually, once we get all this electrical done, then we can actually start doing some real plumbing. So just couldn't do this bit of electrical until I built all this stuff up first. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Please like if you liked the video, if you liked it. Heck, like it if you didn't like it. It's you know, a little bit of change I make off of these videos. That's what goes to pay for the gear and everything that I use to make these videos. I'm not necessarily particular about making my living off of YouTube, but it is nice to help, you know, my hobby support itself. So anyway, stay tuned until next time.